Good afternoon from Diego Martin, Trinidad at 2 p.m. on the 9th of July 2024. This is DNJ Drives doing another special in our Trinidad and Tobago series. We are on the Diego Martin main road just after Margaret Avenue, and we will make a right turn onto the Diego Martin highway and do a loop so that you can see the Rain-O-Rama, which is the home of the late Lord Kitchener. We showed you Sparrow's Hideaway on a previous recording, so it's only fair that we show you Kitchener's home, Rain-O-Rama. So we exit the Diego Martin main road and turn onto Sierra Leone Road on the way to the highway. Anybody who hasn't been to Trinidad in many years may be surprised at this junction. This is all changed. The Diego Martin highway goes all the way. It used to stop around here. It goes all the way down to Wendy Fitzwilliam Boulevard down in Diamond Vale. So you can now take one straight highway all the way down from, say, Victoria Gardens all the way down to Diamond Vale without doing any turns. So we are now turning off Sierra Leone and we are on the Diego Martin highway. Make a left into Petty Valley, Moncoko Road, or right into Crystal Stream and back onto the Diego Martin main road. So we waited quite long for that green arrow, but it's worth the wait. We are on Crystal Stream now, so this road to the left feeds into this road, so that comes off the Diego Martin highway into Crystal Stream, past the Church of the Nativity on the right, and with one sharp right turn here you get to see Rain-O-Rama. We just have to manipulate the traffic. That's Rain-O-Rama ahead of you. Have to be careful as we turn out. That's Rain-O-Rama. That was Kitchener's home, and it's on the other side. So he's on this Diego side, and then Sparrow's Hideaway is on the other side by Petty Valley. So I was saying in a previous video that they used to have a lot of pecan between Sparrow and Kitchener. So I remember as a child hearing these jokes between these two great artists, talking about how they spying on each other to see what it is, what song it is they're coming out with this year. So That's a nice way to honor both Sparrow and the Lord Kitchener, who both have statues erected in their honor. But unfortunately, when we passed Kitchener's statue, I failed to mention. So if you look back in any of the Trinidad and Tobago drives, when we passed One Woodbrook Place on a few occasions, the Kitchener statue is right opposite. I'm not certain whether the camera picked it up, but it's a very prominent statue of Kitchener doing his famous dance on one foot. That's a very proud monument just outside the St. Mary's College grounds and just before you enter St. James. So if you're coming from Port of Spain and you're about to enter St. James, it's there on the right opposite One Woodbrook Place. So we completed that loop and we are back on Digger Martin Highway, and we are taking you to Chaguaramas to show you a bit of the beauty of the island on that side. So we just concentrate on the road and make our way back down or across the Digger Martin Highway. All to the left, Pitty Valley. All to the right, Digger Martin. Proper spelling, Diego Martin. D-I-E-G-O, Diego Martin. And we are back at this roundabout, at this traffic light again. So to the right of us is the Digger Martin River that overflows or used to overflow and create major problems for the residents of that side of Digger Martin. You can't see it now with the highway barriers here, but towards those trees on the right, those trees are overlooking the river. To the left in the hills there, all up there is still on Digger Martin side, but behind those hills you will get all Cocorite. Cocorite is just after, well actually this highway that turns into the Western Main Road, Cocorite overlooks it. Now, in the older days, you could have made a left turn here to go on to Moncoko Road, but there's no longer left turn. It's just all one out, one direction. All of this area here is new, well, relatively new, a few years now, but for anybody who hasn't been here, these changes, though gradual, are quite stark. Victoria Gardens is to our right, and there's a new development just opposite Victoria Keys. We're going to turn there. Ahead are the towers behind West Mall. Just turning off to the new flyover that we covered in a previous video. Across there, those houses across there, that's Powder Magazine side. And this side is Victoria Keys. All of this is government housing that some people get through, I think they can rent through party connections, and then some just purchase on the open market. We are taking a smooth drive over this flyover of the Diego Martin Highway, and to the left of the camera you can see Spanish Court. Spanish Court is on the Westmoorings development. And we're seeing something familiar for our Barbadian viewers, a roundabout. This is actually a new roundabout in Trinidad. Roundabouts are not very common or popular here, but this new roundabout was the best way to connect all of these things. We're gonna go right around the roundabout just to give you a view of the change. That's for citizens out there looking into Diego Martin now, looking at West Mall right now, and going down there's Westmoorings. So we are continuing on this straight road here. To the left, all to the left is Westmoorings by the sea, and to the right Westmoorings inland. Right ahead of you is Goodwood Park, just off to the right. As you can see, the guy is there selling his soft drinks. This building to the left, I can't remember what it's called, but that was one of the first high-rise buildings in Trinidad on this side. On the Westmoorings side, but on the right is Goodwood Park, very upscale neighborhood. In days of old, you could just take a nice drive through Goodwood Park and admire the homes, which are worthy of admiration. But if you look now, you'll see thick hedge, and it's now fully gated. It's a fully gated community, and you can't drive in and out as you please. In my time, young people could drive through there and aspire to own a home like that one day, but now you can just see a thick hedge. Look at this road on the left. That area there has been closed off as well with a big gate. This is the Trinidad and Tobago Yacht Club on the left, and the constituency office on the right of Keith Rowley, Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. Kappa Drugs to the right as we make our way along the western main road to Chaguaramas. within Trinidad there are some long roads. There's the Eastern Main Road. We did a part of our journey discussing that. There's the Southern Main Road, the Western Main Road, and they can take you far inland, as this can and is. So here we are. You can get a glimpse of the islands to the left. Look up in the hills there ahead of you, slash mountain. This area out here is called Carenage, and there's some sort of a donkey or something crossing a goat. Yeah, so this is Carenage, and the interesting thing about this word is that in Barbados it is known as the Carenage, where the Chamberlain Bridge rises. It's a lift bridge, and vessels dock there, and there's a boardwalk. Well, in Trinidad the word is Carenage. I'm not sure if the two are spelled the same, never checked that, but it's the same word with two entirely different pronunciations, and you would not imagine that it's really the same word. This is a nice development ahead of us here. It's called the Boys. Very, very upscale area, and it takes its name from the buoys that you would see out in the sea right opposite to our left. You know, you have buoys in the sea, B-O-U-Y-S. That's what that development was named for, buoys. I think the foliage is cutting some of the view. So we just pull off by the police station on the left, so that you can see, get a nice view up there in the hills. Police station on the left, and on the right here you have the Carenage Health Center. So this in itself is, you know, is its own village. You have your pharmacies and your restaurants and everything out here. Gas stations. There's even a replica of Oystins. Well, at least Trinidad's response to Oystins. The government tried to institute something similar to bring life into this area, and it hasn't really taken off as one would hope. But this is the little stalls here, like in Oystins. You come here and you get your fish fry. If you look closely, you will see that it actually says fish fry right there. And you have the kiosks, and very much like Oystins, it's meant to stimulate nightlife in this area. But of course nothing could replace Oystins. But this is the Carenage Fishing Center. get your retail here. You can buy fish and so on, similar to the Barinda Cox Fish Market. And look up in the hill there, you can see some of those mansions. Yeah, so this is Trinidad's response to oysters. It's a very nice idea, and it's a place that people could come and lime and have their usual fete and celebratory activities on Friday night. So right ahead of us there is the largest of the islands out here to the left. That's detached from the mainland. And we have just entered Chaguaramas. Welcome to Chaguaramas. Why this area has historical significance is that the CARICOM, which was the response to the failed Federation, CARICOM was established by the Treaty of Chaguaramas in 1973. The Treaty of Chaguaramas was signed in this general area, and that treaty is no less significant than other treaties. You know, in the United States they have their own treaties and their own documents, which we don't need to highlight for them, but those documents are revered by the citizenry. And for CARICOM, this is the area where we were established. So all member states of CARICOM, its citizens should be very interested in this area as part of our historical development. To the left, you can use that as, you know, an area to cycle and so on. This area always reminds me of Tobago. It's very, very similar, with the vessels docked to the left and the steep hills there on the right. That's a beach. Of course, nothing like the beaches in Barbados, but no one ever boasts about beaches in Trinidad. In fact, to get to a good beach, sometimes you have to drive a few hours. This play park here is a water park. It's called 5 Islands. There's a whole range of activities down here. Water slides. It's literally a water park. You can spend the whole day down here. That's it on the left. You can see some of it on the left there. So during the war, the US used this as a sort of a base. This building on your right was originally the parliament for CARICOM. But yeah, so the US had some sort of a lease for this area, and this is where Sparrows, Calypso, Gene and Dinah had its genesis. The Yankees gone and Sparrow take over now. When the American soldiers left, this is the area where they frequented. quite a bit of development on this side. Look right ahead, you will see how beautiful that green area is. In my teens, this anchorage to the left, that was a big nightclub. So people would journey all the way from wherever they lived in Valsane or Marval, Woodbrook, and Fett there. There's another one cruising on the left. Quite a long drive in. So the federal parliament was in this area. We passed it a little while ago. I didn't see the flag poles. They usually have the original flag poles for the islands of the member states were still there, but it appears that the building is being repurposed for some sort of a training center. So all to our left, which the camera isn't picking up, you can see the various islands. And we've reached the end now of this long road, because then there's an army base down here. But as you can see, there's accommodation to the right, restaurants to the left, even retail shopping. And we can't go beyond this point. But as we turn, you can see some of the islands off Trinidad right there. This is a defense force base where we are turning. We aren't allowed to go beyond this point. So we make our way back. And of course there is a lot more to do down this side. There's hiking, there's what is known as the Bamboo Cathedral. All of that is inland, and to the left you can actually see the end of the island from the beach. Looking for a good point to show you the various islands. So people live off these 5 islands of Trinidad. They go home by boat, they drive their vehicles and park them anywhere in here, area like this. You can see where people Port Chaguaramas, it's called there. People park at various spots and then take a boat and go home. One island is used as a prison. Turn off to the left, that's a campus of the University of Trinidad and Tobago, UTT, on the left. And all of these turns on the left take you to places where you can hike for hours, going all up into the hills and mountains. Some of the hikes begin very early in the morning, and then they get to a point, and then you have lunch and maybe enjoy the scenery and then head back out. You can see all those vessels on the right. There are people who actually live on some of those vessels that come in, and they dock out there and they spend time and then move on to another location. The road is very smooth and it makes for a nice cool drive, nice for a Sunday evening family drive. Get a better view of the sea from here. You can see all of the little boats out there. I'm trying to remember what you call people who live on these yachts, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe they are called yachties, but that may not be correct, so don't quote me. If it weren't for these poles on the right, we could have turned onto the beach area and you could get a view of the islands. But with improvements over time, sometimes you lose certain comforts, but it's all for the better of the country. And the left turn takes you into the beach I was telling you about, Macreep. Look at that old Biwi plane on the right. That's the TriStar. Originally intended to be somewhat of a museum, a monument to the TriStar, but that hasn't happened. And these sort of pink buildings to the left, this is the general area where the federal parliament was. You can't turn in. It's going to be the Chaguaramas Youth Development and Apprenticeship Center. You can still see the flagpoles. If you just look closely, you can see there are poles there going across. Now, if I were the government, I would make this into a museum, a federal museum. But you can see the water park from here, Five Islands Water Park. I wouldn't throw away the region's history like that. I would find some way to turn in here. Yeah. This change is interesting. Just turn here. I would find some way to let this be a memorial to the federal parliament. Lots of parking out here. So from 1958 to 1962, this is where our region's federal parliament was. Right now it overlooks the Five Island Water Park, and you can see the flagpoles there. I wasn't around at that time, so I don't know if that is the shape of the original building, but I know that this was the site where Sir Grantley Adams was Prime Minister of the Federation of the West Indies. Take a view, take a look at that. So we just passed the Defense Force on the left, some other buildings, but we can't turn there. Take a look at the spectacular sight before you, those mountains. There's nothing more beautiful than that in nature. Left turns here takes you down to Macreep, and you can see a sign here for Five Islands. So in Trinidad, people say that going down the islands, and what that means is that they are actually going for a line literally down the islands, meaning they're going on a, either for the weekend at some guest house or somebody's home in one of the islands, and or they might be just going down there for the day, and that's referred to as going down the islands. So if you hear any Trinidadian inviting you out and they say you want to go down the islands, they don't mean the Eastern Caribbean islands. They literally mean islands off the island of Trinidad. These islands are to the west of the island at the north. So if you took a map and you looked at Trinidad, to the northwest of the, just off the tip there, you will see some little islands scattered. This is a little turn off here. Okay, so from here you can see a small island to the extreme left. We are right at the edge here, so you can see small islands over there. People live on these islands. Some well-constructed homes as well. Let me just turn here so that you can see the, well, maybe go down further. You can see some vessels there. This is a rare liming spot where we are. You might be hearing the music. Right, so we'll just turn here so that you can see the islands. Have to go and park on the other side of the barrier. I don't know if you all can hear that loud music. This is where the people lime in. Just give you a bit of what happens in Trinidad. So here, these people here with their picnic and their loud music. So this is where we will end today's drive Unfortunately, we couldn't show you the islands behind this large island in front of us and that one, but you can see the small islands of Trinidad. I can't remember the names of these islands, but as a child you would get licks at school if you didn't remember that. But I know Gaspar Grande is one, and Monos, and I can't remember. And even though we call them the 5 islands, I believe they are 6 or maybe 7, but I think 6. So signing off from D&J Drives, my son surprised me at the end of one of our videos when he actually spoke for the first time. But he's going to take the camera out of the car and film it for you. So thanks for your attention, and we'll see you next time.